But before we close this end off, you take and you poke it through this part of the material, making sure, of course, that you have enough room for your neck. Today, let's make a blanket pin from a hanger. Most of you are familiar with this standard classic blanket pin. And of course, most guys in bushcrafting and a lot of reenactors use these to hold the front of their wool blanket cloak, makeshift cloak, together. And this has been used since very ancient times. This is one I purchased, and it's just simply made out of brass. But I have a way to make one that's cheaper, easier, and much more readily available if you don't have access to one of these, or you just simply don't want to buy one. And that is to make one out of a clothes hanger. Now, for size comparison, it is a bit smaller, and that's a good reason. There is a good reason for that, rather, because it is thinner wire. It is a brass wire, of course, but what you want to be careful about is if you make it too big, it becomes too flimsy. So it's probably easily a half or third of the size of the standard blanket pin. In most projects where you're using a hanger, you usually cut this part off. And just using my SOG multi-tool here, we clip off this part here. And what I have done is I have tried to find the heaviest hanger wire that I could find. Not all hangers are created equal. Some are really quite flimsy. But this one's actually pretty sturdy, and I sorted through the hangers that I have until I found one that seemed to be thick enough to suit my purpose. So a lot of times you just throw this away. But for bushcrafters and people that are in a survival situation, you want to be able to save and use all kinds of resources. Of course, there's a lot of uses for a wire hook like this, to hang up things, to use for a pot hook and all that sort of thing. So obviously we don't want to throw this away in any case. But basically how you want to do this is you want to start off by unwinding this section here. And again, if you have a pair of needle nose pliers, you don't have to have the SOG multi-tool, but if you do have something similar, it works quite well. And so you just basically unwind this, and it takes a little bit of doing, but there you go. Alright, we're going to put that in our pocket, and that's going to become our pin. So then what we want to do is we want to take this section here, and we want to take this little end here, and we want to bend it up, like so. And that becomes one of our ends. And then we have to take this, and we want to fold this into a little better of a circle, because it's kind of not quite round. And again, this isn't going to be perfect. This is something that we are doing here to make an improvised hanger. So we do like this, and then we continue on around, and I'll do that and get back with you. So you're going to end up with something that looks like this, and it will vary depending on the size of the hanger and where you make your bends. But before we close this end off, there's a very important thing that we have to do, and that's install the pin. And I'll show you how to do that next. So with this pin, what we have to do is we have to first of all take and we need to make a loop. And how do we know the size of our loop, and how do we know the shape of everything? Well, first of all, we need to take our hanger that we just bent into a circle, and we need to figure out how long it needs to be, because it needs to stick out at least past our bends here. It needs to be longer than that. So we can see that we're doing pretty good if we make the loop right in this end. So we'll go ahead and do that. And again, we just take our pliers and we fold it on around, and we make a really nice closed loop. Just like that. And you want to try to get that fairly tight and crimp it. If you can see here, we're going to crimp that in so that we have a closed loop. Alright, now before we bend this last crimp, we want to take this and install it. So we put it on here like this, bring it on around. Alright? And now we want to take and close this off. We want to crimp this end like so. So now it can't come off on either side. Alright, one last thing that we have to do is we need for this end to be sharp. And so using our multi-tool and our wire cutters, all we do is we take and we clip this to an angle. Like that. I don't know if you can see that, that shows up. Alright, one other thing we can do, of course this is always a good reason to have a multi-tool with you because you can do many things, is you can take the file and we could take this point here because we really don't want to be ripping our blanket, and we could take and we can file this down to a much better point. Get all the jagged edges off of it and make it where it will slide into the fabric much more smoothly. And there we have our blanket pin made from a hanger. How does it work? I'll show you. So of course having a blanket pin is a very important part of your kit, and being able to make one cheaply and easily from found materials is obviously a great benefit. And of course you can see how it fastens on right here, and it's very simple, and I will give you a demonstration. It is just like other blanket pins. Of course, here is our blanket pin. You can see it looks like. And basically what you want to do, and there's a lot of other demo videos about this, but it works just like all the other ones. You take and you poke it through this part of the material and through this right here, making sure of course that you have enough room for your neck as well as your head covering. You put it in the small space right here, and then you simply rotate it one way or the other around the circle like so.
This is James Bender for WayPoint Survival. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also make sure and check out the links in the description box below, just under the More button. While you're down there, you'll find the link for our WayPoint Survival digital class. This is where you can train in the comfort and convenience of your own backyard the top 20 skills that we consider to be the most important from our Phase 1 Survival and Bushcraft class. You'll also find the link where you can sign up for the WayPoint Survival and Prepping 101 newsletter, completely free and chock full of great information that you're going to want this year. Also, you'll find the waypointsurvival.com link, and this is where you can sign up to take in-person classes here at our beautiful training facility in Southern Ohio. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. And when you do subscribe, make sure and press that bell button so that you can stay notified of all of our upcoming videos, and we'll talk to you next time.